The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys! This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it is a Tuesday at high noon inside the SWBC podcast studio here at the beautiful Star in Frisco. Bill Jones, Mickey Spagnola, and we have upgraded the Everson Walls position.
Oh, no.
As Jess Navarez is here for today and tomorrow for
right.
special editions of Mick Shots. Welcome, Jess.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. It's so exciting to be able to join this show and hopefully bring a little bit different perspective. I wouldn't say I'm the upgrade to Everson, but hey, I'm definitely different.
At least you're here.
Yes, and in fact, that's where I was going first because I asked Jess when I got here 5 minutes ago. I asked her how long she's been here, and she had gotten here early, and I was thinking, what a sharp contrast to our Pro Bowl cornerback.
Oh no! Look.
By the way, yesterday.
That's getting messy. That's getting messy.
No. Yesterday, it's all in fun.
Yeah.
Yesterday, we had the regular crew in here and on all the shows on Monday. We got the email last week, and for some reason, our interception king wasn't here yesterday. Mickey, what's wrong with your headset?
Same thing. They were turned on.
Oh, jeez. Do you help?
So whoever did the show before us messed them up.
Always the guy before.
Well, it is, because all I did was put them on.
You ready to start Mick Shots with a Mick Shot, Mickey?
What do you mean?
Well, sounds like you're ready to fire off at somebody about your headset.
Oh,
Maybe we need a Mick Shot right off the top.
That was a good
man.
hour ago when I was driving here, and it was a little bit late, and everybody was going 20 miles an hour.
Everyone was driving
In front of
slow
me.
over here. I did feel that.
That's like
On
everybody.
121?
Hold on, Mick. Hold on, Mick. Hold on, Mick. Hold
Like
on.
there's 3 lanes. And
Mick, hold on.
Mick can't hear you because there's
He doesn't
something
have
wrong with
his
his
headset on,
headset. He
Chris.
doesn't have his headset on.
It's
Producer
the same thing
Supreme.
that happened. You need to.
Now go, Mick.
Say it again.
They put on the Bluetooth.
Who did?
Whoever was before us.
Oh. So I want to hear about the traffic problems you
No,
had today.
I solved it. I just cut people off.
Oh, okay.
Oh man.
All right. Producer Supreme has now entered the studio to fix Mickey's Bluetooth
there we
headset
go.
problem.
He just
There we
changed
go.
headsets.
Change headset.
Oh,
now,
look at that.
Now we ready for the show, Mickey?
My Lord.
Welcome, Mickey. Welcome. We missed you.
No,
Good
welcome,
to be
Jess.
with
This
you,
is what
Jess.
we put up with
Yes.
every day.
It's all right. No, it's all good. I've grown up watching y'all, and my dad's a big. I was telling Mickey when you were stepping out that my dad is fangirling over the fact that I'm on this show.
Oh, really?
Fangirling completely. So
Now, where are you from originally?
Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Okay,
Yeah.
Las Cruces.
I moved
Okay.
here about a year
Is that where Dad
ago.
is?
That's where Dad is.
Okay.
Dad's hanging out right now and probably watching. So
All right.
hello, Dad.
Well, hello, Dad.
So when we open the phone lines tomorrow, he's got to call us.
Yeah.
That's a good
All right.
idea.
See, and he was.
I love it.
At
both
least
of my
we'll have
parents.
one caller.
That's
There
right.
you go.
That's like when we first started working together, Mickey and me, which was, they started up the Cowboys started up the Cowboys channel, which was just on Comcast cable at the time. It was prior to the NFL Network, 2003 or 2004? 2004. Okay, and we had programming all day long, and I'm pretty sure we only had 2 viewers, and that would be my mom and dad in Irving.
But you know what? You have
But
to
it's
love
great
those
practice.
loyal viewers.
That's
They're
right.
very loyal.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. It was my mom and dad were the only ones watching us.
Well, let me tell you, you better not make any mistakes because last Saturday at the Star Sports Tour reception, I had a lot of people talking about they don't miss this podcast.
Oh man.
Oh, really?
So you better be straight and narrow with
Okay.
these folks because
All
they're
right.
listening.
Okay, very good. Okay, we've had some breaking news here within the last half hour in the National Football League as a trade was made. a tight end, and Mickey's looking quizzically because
No,
you've
I
been
know
talking
who
to
it is.
assistant coaches
I know,
here.
but I know
You've
who
been
it
very
is.
busy. T.J. Hawkinson
So the
goes
Cowboys
from the Lions to the Vikings.
To have a second chance to prove they can cover them.
That's right.
Because they didn't cover them the first time.
There's 4 catches.
I love the optimism there, Mickey.
A couple of weeks away, 3 weeks away,
Yeah.
a little less than 3. The
Yeah.
Cowboys will travel to Minnesota, got Green Bay first after this bye week. Lions got in return a second and a third-round draft pick, 2023 second, 2024 third. Lions also sending the Vikings a 4th-round pick and a conditional 4th. So some moving and shaking is going on. Jerry Jones was on the fan this morning. And how would you term his attitude towards the deadline at 3 o'clock this afternoon?
Sitting heavily on the fence.
Or on the railroad track?
Yes, the railroad track, yes.
Which was the quote towards the end of it. And by the way, on the Hawkinson trade, as producer Supreme just texted me, Irv Smith, the Vikings tight end, is expected to be sidelined 8 to 10 weeks with a high ankle sprain.
Wow.
So there was the need for the 6-1 Vikings to pick up Hawkinson. Jerry talked about being on the side of the railroad track, and as the train goes by leading to 3 o'clock this afternoon, he'll be in position to grab the caboose.
Right.
If
Did
needed.
you understand the analogy?
I kind of did, yeah. Did you?
I believe so, meaning basically he doesn't want to be the one chasing somebody.
Right.
He wants someone to come to him and say, would you like this guy? Because it goes back to what Bob Ackles taught me long time ago about signing guys that are holding out for contracts. And I said, well, when's the last time you talked to so-and-so? He goes, no, it's been a month. I go, why don't you call him? He goes, because every time I pick up the phone, I'm spending money. They got to call me. And so that's the same thing with these trades. You want them to come to you so you're not elevating like, oh, I'm desperate, I got to have this, and then they hold you hostage.
And that's what the Lions did with the Vikings right there. The Vikings, they had a need, and so they came calling that. I assume that's the way, especially within the division.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
it'll be interesting to see if anything happens before 3 o'clock this afternoon.
We're all anxiously waiting.
Yes, we are.
I mean,
Hey, I pull back the curtain a little bit more. I was scheduled to tape the coaches show at 11 a.m. this morning,
it got
we
delayed,
postponed
I
it.
should say.
Yes,
Postponed.
yes. And I'm not saying that anything is happening. I think that
but just in case,
they wanted to make sure.
they didn't have to come into the studio. Bill,
right.
we have to interrupt. We need the head coach.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. All right. So if we'll just pose this off, well, unless you've got some other news you want to go to first, either Mickey or Jess, with anything that you.
Not right now.
That was really the
Okay,
most
that's top of
breaking
mind
thing.
for everybody right now.
Yeah.
Okay, as we are now less than 3 hours away. So if you were going to upgrade at a position, what position is an upgradable position?
Well, I would say in lieu of basically losing Jordan Lewis for the remainder of the season with the Liz Frank fracture, that cornerback would be something that I'd be interested in looking at. Seeing that the defense has played so well this year, and this is nothing against Deron Bland, but one injury away.
Think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, even as it stands right now, you're playing a rookie 5th-round draft pick at what is essentially a starting cornerback
And
position.
the hardest one to play, maybe.
And your other option is if you look at the pecking order here, second-round draft pick last year, or a 3rd-round second-year player from last year, either Kelvin Joseph or Nashawn Wright. So to your point, you lose another cornerback, and now you're playing one of those guys at an outside corner.
And I'm not sure Calvin Joseph is ready. And, Nashawn Wright has been inactive until this past game.
Right.
That was his first one this year. So, if you find a somewhat veteran guy with some experience to bring in, and I don't know if he would beat out Deron Bland because I think Bland has played well.
He's anything but bland. That's what I like to say.
Very good.
Yeah. I did like that.
That, I can see, and not giving up an arm and a leg either, by the way, or a foot.
Not a foot. Definitely not a foot.
A Lysfrac foot, right?
I mean, you can make the case, and in fact, we posed this question last week, Jess, and this shows how smart we were. We all talked about the wide receiver position.
Yeah.
And Mickey just talked about it because Everson and I prompted him on it. It wasn't like Mickey's idea that they needed a great wide receiver. It was ours. But we didn't discuss defensive tackle.
Yeah.
And then they turn around a couple of days later, and the trade they make was for Jonathan Hankins.
Right.
And then we're like, oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Why didn't we think of that?
No, I'm glad you brought up the wide receiver core because that's another conversation that has been happening a lot is to strengthen the wide receiver core with the amount of young players that are in it right now. And you've seen, I mean, the best analogy is you have Jason Peters, who's really mentored Tyler Smith into becoming somebody who you really don't talk about a lot, which is a good thing, right? Especially with how the odds were looking for him early on post Tyron Smith injury. So with that analogy, anytime you can get a veteran player in there, I think it's important. I think, James Washington, obviously, we don't know the time span of his return yet. It's still a little cloudy, a little foggy, hopefully soon, but you don't know how quickly that can come. So if you can get a bit of an instant relief with the veteran player at the wide receiver core, especially after the game Dak had on Sunday against the Bears and how heavily he's starting to rely on the pass game, I don't think it hurts at all. If you can get somebody for a cheap price, you can get somebody, not an arm, a leg, or a foot, and you can get someone that can make an immediate impact. I mean, look what Amari Cooper did for this offense when that happened. So
look at what he did for the offense last night.
I know. I know.
What did he end up with?
I'm adding salt to the wound by bringing him up, am I not?
I didn't see his numbers.
4 or 5 catches. It was 130.
He did throw
something.
an interception too, though.
Yes, he did. That's why you don't trust wide receivers to throw the ball because nobody was open, right?
There you
and
go.
He forced it.
Did you see the Manning cast on the interception?
I
didn't see it live. I saw it tweeted out, and they had Boomer Esiason on, and so it was 3 quarterbacks. And so Boomer was talking about Marvin Harrison or somebody when as the play was unfolding, and you see Peyton, that there are triple boxes on the left side. And so you see, as the play's unfolding, you see Peyton at the top of the screen going, oh my God, like that. And then Boomer kept talking, and then Eli had his look that he always has when he threw an interception, especially.
Definitely.
But
and I'm
Peyton was funny. Peyton was funny because he said that's why you don't have wide receivers throw passes. He didn't read the coverage, and he threw its first option wasn't there.
But he made up for it with that catch.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at his stats right now. 131 yards, 5 touches on the ball, 1 touchdown, and he had an average of 26.2 yards with his receiving. I mean,
well, and that's the thing. That is the thing I think that this offense is lacking. The guy like Amari Cooper, we saw with Amari here.
Yeah.
You can go 75 yards in one play on a pass play.
Mm-hmm.
And
James
Washington might be that guy, but we don't know.
To
your point, though, I think that there is a greater need at cornerback than wide receiver because of the Jordan Lewis injury.
Yeah, I think when you look at the depth.
So okay, let's get both.
Washington's
there you go.
Washington's coming back, right? And probably they'll start his practice when they get back. So he's probably not ready for the Green Bay game, but maybe for Minnesota.
What do we know about this Noah Brown injury?
Foot, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Is this something that can linger? And that's the other thing, which can convince me that, okay, well, maybe there is more of a need of a wide receiver if Noah Brown's going to have an issue.
If you look back, he was also dealing with another injury, and I want to say it was foot. Don't quote me on that. I want to say it was foot previously in the season as well. So I don't know. And I think Noah Brown is somebody who, again, stopped the conversation for needing a wide receiver. But with this injury, if it's something that's going to linger, that's worrisome.
You can anticipate injuries are going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and so you try to cover yourself as much as you can at each position.
You know, we were just getting a chance to talk to the offensive assistants first. When we were talking to Robert Prince, the Cowboys wide receiver coach, and he was somewhat complimentary of Jalen Tolbert, saying that he did what he was supposed to do. He ran the routes, and this was his way of saying it. He goes, when you're in meetings, you're running lines, like you're running how the route's supposed to be run. And he said he did a good job of getting off the lines and running the routes. And he said there was several times he was open, but as Dak was going through his reads, he didn't get to him to that point where he threw the ball elsewhere. But he said had they thrown him the ball or give him a target, that he would have been open. And they were pretty happy with what he did. McCarthy talked a lot about his need to improve blocking as when they do kind of those bunch formations and somebody's got to do the blocking. And then, he said, but again, I'll guarantee you they didn't ask him to block at South Alabama, right? He's their lead receiver. So that was kind of new, plus the fact trying to integrate him into special teams too.
And I also wish we would have seen more of Jalen Tolbert up to this point, because something that I noticed in the locker room is James Washington is the guy that's mentoring him right now. So I think if you saw a little bit more of Jalen Tolbert, you would get a little bit more of a scope to what James Washington is planning to do upon his return. I'd be also interested to see if the Cowboys are going to do more of a ramp-up phase with James Washington, like they did with Jason Peters, or if they're just kind of going to throw him in like they did Michael Gallup per se. But it's going to be a very interesting couple of weeks post-bye week.
There will be a ramp-up phase.
Yeah,
for sure. He has to practice 2 weeks before they'll send him out there. So, but again, we're talking a guy that has speed.
Yep.
And Robert Prince reminded us that he was a Biletnikoff winner out of Oklahoma State, I believe. And so he said he's got deep speed. It doesn't look like it because of how he's built, right?
No, but that was Mason Rudolph. He threw deep and James Washington would be behind the secondary every single time,
right?
It seemed like. Now, having said that, he had 4 years of 4 years with the Steelers and didn't do a whole lot there, and he was available for basically a veteran minimum salary in free agency this offseason. Came home to Texas, and so hopefully he'll get this opportunity here in the next month or so and make the most of it.
And I'll guarantee you, and I know we got to take a break here, that what they did in the running game this past game is going to open up some deep passes for these receivers.
Yep.
Because they're going to say, you know what, if we don't stop Tony Pollard at the line of scrimmage, we're in trouble. So, playing that cozy, too deep coverage zone, you may get more single coverage on the corner and maybe one single safety high coverage, knowing that we better not let them run for 200 yards like the Cowboys did against the Bears.
And on Noah Brown, it is a foot right now. It was a neck injury back a month or so ago. All right, we continue with more Mick shots in just a moment.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. From corporate homes to your home, have your roof checked by choice, not by chance. Call now, 214-225-4860, and that's kpostcompany.com.
All right, we continue on a trade deadline Tuesday here on Mick Shots here at the Star inside the SWBC podcast studio. Bill Jones, Mickey Spagnola, Jess Navarez. Jess, fill in for our viewers and listeners who they just love Mickey so much they only think that they only want to hear what Mickey has to say. Tell us about your podcast that you're on here.
Yeah, so I am one of the co-hosts of the Girls Talk, Boys Talk podcast. That's at 4 o'clock every day. It's an all-girls podcast. We have a very good array of women that come in, very knowledgeable, very smart. Jane Slater started it, and then it's on Mondays. Christy Scales joins us, Aisha Morrison. Of course, Haley Sutton's on there. So we have a very good cycle of women that come in. On Tuesdays, we also talk to different women from around the building to tell us what they do. And so it's very empowering, but also very football savvy and very football smart. So very proud to be part of that and see the success that it's had so far.
I love it. Love it. Love it.
You keeping an eye on NFL Network in case there's
and
any
Twitter.
bulletins? Because I
breaking.
I know Jess is too.
I have to turn my head to see it.
That's right. You don't have your Twitter up.
Well, I could do that.
That would probably
Are you on
be
Twitter
a little
much?
easier.
Where do you get your news?
I have it.
Where do you get your news?
It kind of depends. I have the push notifications on my phone, but Twitter is, I think, just the easiest way to see everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I get my push notifications on from Twitter and all the sources around the league. So that's basically where I get my news.
I check it every once in a while.
Remember the old days, Mickey, when you had to go check the wire machine?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Sorry, guys. I can't relate to that.
Twitter is the new wire.
That's what we used to have to do.
Sorry, guys.
All right.
Seriously,
Twitter
Jess.
is the new wire, so
Very
check
before
Twitter.
my time.
And it's not really the new wire, Mickey. It's about 2010, about 12 years ago. It became the new.
I'm just saying.
I know what you mean, Beam. We got
got
to put it in Mickey's terms.
I
here.
got a lot of people on there helping me out, okay?
But for those of us who have worked in TV newsrooms and, back in the day, prior to Twitter, we literally, there was a machine that had the Associated Press wire stories with paper and everything that we had to go check for stories and stuff. And then it became a computer thing, okay? And when I started at CBS 11, 2006, 2007, I would get notifications basically on my computer that way. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I was one of the first ones to get on Twitter. I loved it, and from a news standpoint, as much as anything. Because I talk to people who aren't aren't journalists, whatever, like daughters, son-in-laws, and stuff. And they're on occasionally, whatever. My daughter is big in social media, but she'll get it from Instagram and whatever, whatever she's interested in.
It makes sense that Mickey doesn't really check Twitter because I was telling him this story yesterday that not this year but last year I went to training camp, bumped into him, and I was fangirling a little bit, telling Mickey, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you," and took a picture with him, tweeted it, and then I didn't hear anything. Mickey, you left me on red. But then we were talking about it yesterday.
It probably got pushed down, and I didn't scroll down
all
far
of
enough.
the positive notifications that you missed.
Because with all my followers,
you do have a great following, Mickey.
I do.
You do. Very loyal.
But
they are.
Let me tell you a story about that.
Both of them are very loyal.
Hey, it's probably over 70,000 by now.
Oh, wow.
Let's see.
Okay.
Let's go check. Let's go see your
That's
Twitter
right. We
numbers.
can check you on that, Mickey.
Yeah. Let's fact check you.
So
go ahead.
Back in the day, the AP wire machine basically saved my college education with the breaking story at about 10 o'clock at night. And if you remember, the machine would ding when a story
when
came
there was
out.
a bulletin.
And then when it was a bigger one, it'd double
Ding, ding, ding.
And then when the thing just kept dinging, it was really important.
Yeah.
And we went running over to the machine, and me and this guy were both in the same boat with the selective service draft. And we had a Dateline, Washington, D.C. President Richard Nixon has ended the selective service draft. Otherwise, guess who was going to Vietnam?
Oh, wow.
And you should have seen the celebration in that newsroom that was dead empty besides me taking basketball scores and this other guy watching the police and fire scroll. And we celebrated.
You think the Cowboys were happy in their draft room when they drafted Micah Parsons? It was nothing compared to that draft news.
Yeah.
I was my lottery number was 52.
Wow.
The only lottery you kind of won, right? Because you had a high number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or low, whatever you want to call it. But
Wow.
my 2 years were up.
So anyway, we are monitoring. If anything happens, we'll get it to you here first. Nothing so far, as we are now approaching 2.5 hours away from the trade deadline.
Let's do this before we hit the break. And Lunda Wells was really good about bringing it up, but Mike Zimmer's son, Adam Zimmer, passed away yesterday, and it's just heart-wrenching. I knew Adam since he was 10 years old when Zim came here in '94 to be the Cowboys' defensive assistant, on his way to being the cornerback or the defensive back coach to the defensive coordinator, and 38 years old. And it's just he was a analytic assistant at Cincinnati, I believe that
most
was the
recently.
position. Most recently, and he had been with Mike in Minnesota as
a defensive
coordinator, right? In title, you know, Zim was running that defense, but this is the second time that poor family has had to go through that. His mom, Mike's wife, passed away when they had moved to Cincinnati. Unexpectedly, and now this, and it's like, geez, how much more can one family go through? And I knew Zim since 78, 79, when he was the graduate assistant coach at the University of Missouri when I was covering Missouri football. And we first met then and both ended up here. And so, yeah, it's just and so Lunda Wells said, before I answer any questions, I want to pay homage to the Zim family. I got to know Adam at the East-West Shrine game when he was there coaching, and Adam was coaching. So,
and I don't know if George Edwards is talking with the media today, but he would be one guy on the Cowboys staff who is very close with the Zimmer family, having been
on the staff together,
been on that staff, and probably mentored Adam a lot.
Sure.
You know, being the defensive coordinator himself there, and then alongside Adam, and just heartbreaking news. And his Adam's sister Corey, who went to high school with my daughter, she posted on Instagram about it this morning.
And she had worked here briefly in the TV department too.
And it's just awful. And so anyway, our thoughts and prayers are with the Zimmer family on this tragic day for them. And we'll continue with more Mick Shots here in just a moment.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field, United Ag and Turf. With John Deere Zero Turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Back to Mick Shots.
Get the ultimate fan experience for the ultimate Cowboys fan. Join Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life, starting at just $20. Join now and get your fan pack, exclusive benefits, and more. Visit DallasCowboys.com/United for details. And you know what? Join today.
All right. We continue with Mick Shots, Bill Jones, Jess Navarez, and the star of the show, Mickey Spagnola, who has been speaking with offensive assistant coaches here within the last 45 minutes. And you said Skip Pete had related a little story about Zeke, maybe?
And he pointed out that Zeke basically came to him on Friday and said, I can go. And they were like, yeah, well, we'll just wait till after the bye. And then he told the story about Marion Barber doing the same thing back in the day when Barber was the lead running back and had a toe injury. And Barber came to him at the end of the week and said, Coach, look, I can go. And he started getting on his tippy toes and showing his toes were fine. And he got in the game and took 2 snaps and came to the sideline and said, Coach, I can't go. Oh. And he goes, I looked at him and I said, see, you lied to me. He goes, I got a guy that could have played, and he's over there in his warm-up suit, and I can't put him in the game. Mm-hmm. And so, so they were going to be very careful with this one. But, he suffered on that hit to the knee, a hyperextended knee. And, I think they're hopeful that maybe with a brace that he would be ready to go sooner than later. So that's somewhat good news, and he doesn't have to really play in a game or take a hit for 2 weeks now, right? 1, 2 next week, and maybe be ready for Green Bay. So we'll see.
I think it was so important to see the capacity that Tony Pollard can take on too, and know that maybe a few more touches, even if it's 5 more touches per game, how impactful he can be, and take that weight off of Zeke in the meantime if he's not fully healed, Green Bay or whenever he returns. So I think Tony Pollard's performance was outstanding, and I think the only people that were doubting him were the outside noise. I don't think the locker room doubted him for 1 second for what he was able to do. And so Tony Pollard deserves all the flowers this week. What an incredible game for him.
Yep. You know what? I think the outside noise were his biggest fans, actually. It's like, okay, we don't need Zeke. Just give it to Tony.
And Malik Davis. I mean, the opportunity that he got, and, it's numbers-wise, it's not great, whatever, but you can see it. We saw it in the preseason. And, as we have discovered, especially with 17-game season now, and where this team wants to go at 6-2, with the chances of making maybe even a postseason run. I mean, you're going to need all hands on deck as you go along here.
And they've had 3 running backs on the roster. Dowdle got hurt and put on IR, but there's room for Davis. And he did a nice job when they threw him the ball. It looked like he had scored the touchdown. Then in replay showed he kind of had his side of his foot on the out of bounds.
Yeah.
But he caught a couple passes, and he's got a little something. He didn't get drafted, but they had a rotation going at Florida. It was
and the guy that he was playing with at Florida is a pretty good running back himself, Damian Pierce, who is doing very well with the Texans.
And they had like a 3-man rotation going.
We got a trade.
Uh-oh.
There is a trade here.
Dun,
Breaking news here. I'm making sure that it has a blue check mark by it.
Yeah, make sure it's a reliable source.
The Bears are trading for Steelers wide receiver Chase Claypool.
Wow.
So they just traded away
Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith.
And Roquan Smith, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now they're adding a player.
So I wonder if they used any of those draft choices that they got to trade.
I haven't seen the details yet, but Claypool goes from the Steelers to the Bears. I love draft day. I mean, I love trade deadline day. I love draft day.
You look like a kid in a candy shop right now with your iPad on.
That's
Twitter.
right. I love it.
What I did want to point out, too, though, real quick about Malik Davis was the ball security that he had. I think that was so key and so important during this game, especially for a younger guy.
That's one thing that he could not afford to do. You don't drop the football. You won't get this opportunity
He
again.
had one job, and he stuck to it. So I was really happy to see that. So, yeah, flowers to Malik Davis this week as well.
Yeah, and Pollard has shown that, the funny thing is even though he was the starter, he got no more carries than he's ever had in a single game. 14 was his single game high, and he got 14 carries. And I think there's something to not overusing him because then teams get used to the speed. And I think the change-up between he and Zeke is awfully important. With you're used to Zeke running at one speed, and you're used to this guy hitting the hole at another speed, and I think it catches defenses by surprise.
Yeah.
Second round draft pick the Bears are giving the Steelers for Chase Claypool.
Oh my!
So are you happy that the Cowboys face the Bears Sunday and not this coming Sunday? Not that Chase Claypool is all world, but they didn't have much in the wide receiver room in Chicago.
I don't know. They had problems with Mooney.
Mooney's a good player, Okay, but you would have Claypool. They would have Claypool alongside Mooney.
Mooney, 5 catches, 70 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Long of 36. Was the 36 one the one that Diggs got lost on?
May have been.
I think so. Because he was playing off, and the guy started running in, and Diggs.
Yeah, I think it was.
He curled back out.
It was.
Wide open.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mooney.
Mickey, you crack me up.
You don't think?
Oh, God. No one's trading for Mooney, right?
Not that we've
seen. The Bears
seen.
needed wide receiver.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's right. And that's my point. I'd rather play the Bears without Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
Right?
They were rather one-dimensional. Now, they were pretty good at that one dimension. They had over 200 yards rushing.
So they gave up a second for him? Is that what
you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's quite a bit.
It is. Definitely is.
So, if you value second-round draft picks, we've had our full share of second-round draft picks who haven't panned out.
Well, that's true. But Trayvon Diggs was pretty good.
He was.
Yeah.
Sean Lee was, too.
Oh, the general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you're a big Sean Lee fan?
Yeah, that's my...
She's speaking to my heart here. Yeah. I was the president of the Sean Lee fan club.
Oh,
we could have just kept him healthy.
There we go. Yep, I definitely think Sean Lee is such a staple to the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. Darren Woodson was pretty good.
I would
another second-round draft pick.
Yeah.
Darryl Johnston. You want me to continue?
And by the way, Claypool has 1 year left on his contract after this year.
There we go.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think in terms of, Sunday's game, you look at we didn't even talk about the tight end group. If you want to talk about
love the tight end
about
group.
an important group within this offense, those young tight ends, Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot, wow. Talk about coming out of the gates to prove a point. And I think Dalton Schultz stepping up this week too was just so key and so valuable. So I'm excited to see what that tight end group is going to do as the year progresses and as they gel a little bit more with Dak Prescott in the pocket. Oh my goodness, that's scary. That is scary to be able to have the option for those tight end screens. Oof, I'm excited.
I like them a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to training camp, Ferguson and Hendershot, and that was a position of real concern for the Cowboys in the offseason.
From a depth standpoint, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And from a future standpoint, too, because of Dalton Schultz going into the last year of his contract. And, I mean, we'll see how it plays out now going forward into 2023. But I think they feel a lot better. And I just love the makeup of that tight end room, too.
Frick and frack.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think they were dressed as Tweedledee and Tweedledum for Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But, yeah, definitely great to see there. I think the Cowboys' second drive, you really saw the strength of that tight end core. I think going back to my notes, you had, pass after pass. Let's see. You had passes to, I'm in the wrong game. Let's see. Here it is. You had pass to Hendershot, pass to Schultz, pass to Hendershot, pass to Schultz, and then finally Michael Gallup. So you had drive after drive after drive of tight end action, and then, hello, Michael Gallup. Nice to see you again, too. So
there you go.
I think when you can use your tight ends as wide receivers.
All right, I'm just
helpful.
curious about how how it all came about on the touchdown celebration, just how much they planned it, how much they choreographed it.
Well, they obviously planned it.
Yeah,
Yep.
but I mean, was this something like after practice where they decided, okay, we need something, and
They've had
beautiful.
They've had it planned for 2 weeks apparently, because if you watch Sounds of the Sidelines, they talked about it last week when Hendershot got his touchdown. They were going to do it, but it was his first one, so it's kind of like, my first one.
I would just like to know if they practiced it. I mean, after practice, I mean, did they decide? Because you have to decide which is the one that's going to get roped.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really
the
work.
closest one to the goalpost?
Yep.
I don't know.
I think that's a
when
fair
you
question.
practice in the apartment. Okay? I don't know that.
Or Schultz's house, because Schultz is the one that got roped, right?
That's right.
You don't
Either
want
that-
everybody seeing that.
Either
But I
that
think-
or they're really good under pressure, and they just threw it out there.
But
I mean,
Schultz is the one that has to be the one getting roped. A rookie cannot be. It doesn't work.
He's got to do the
It
roping.
works if the veteran is the one that
roping the rookie.
It would have been better if he was like one of them got on all fours like you were riding a horse and jumped off and then roped him.
there you go. You can give him some ideas.
Okay, now we're getting into it.
Mick, you can give him some ideas in the locker
Mickey
room next
needs
time
to
you
be
see him.
the choreographer of it.
The official
choreographer.
Dallas Cowboys choreographer.
I'm the rodeo
of,
coverage guy.
Touchdown.
Hey, I learned something
celebrations.
from Walt Garrison. Yeah.
All right, Mickey, what else is on your legal pad there?
I just was going to say that Lunda Wells said that they are progressing because of their hard work, but they still have a ways to go. And somebody said, well, what do they need to improve on? And he said their consistency. So, and I would imagine some of that has to do with consistent blocking of that tight end room. If you're going to run two tight ends, those guys have to do a really good job of maintaining their blocks, especially if the ball's bouncing outside.
Well, and especially if you have Tony Pollard, who we know is not great with the pass pro. Hopefully getting a little bit better, but yeah, it's definitely important to have the blocking strength with your tight end group.
And, okay, I asked Mickey what else is on his legal pad, just to show the difference here. What else is on your laptop?
I have all the post-game notes.
All right.
Let's see. I have post-game notes. I have Girls Talk, Boys Talk notes. And I also have I'm waiting to register for Taylor Swift tickets. All going at once. So.
Do you have a Jess shot you would like to deliver at the end of this show? I mean, here on Mick Shots. I mean, it can be anything. A nugget. It can be anything you'd like to throw out there.
Something I didn't get to throw out today?
Yeah.
Kudos
anything.
to Dak Prescott for officially shaking the narrative that he's rusty, and we never have to hear that again. So I'm very excited to see Dak Prescott back and building up.
I think we're ready to proclaim him fully healthy.
Yep, I think so. I don't think we have to hear rust and Dak Prescott.
Another reason
sentence.
why we don't pay attention to perceptions, right?
There you go. There you go.
Okay. And this one from Robert Prince talking about Cavante Turpin.
Oh, I love
said
Cavante
we do
Turpin.
have a package for him as a wide receiver, and he felt very confident that if they called his number that he would be there and ready to go. So maybe we can look forward to that.
Sounds like a country and western song.
Be ready to go.
You got him in the mood for some country western, talking about all the roping and all of that.
That's Bill
right.
doesn't know nothing about country westerns.
Oh,
What do you mean?
You got your
I grew up in
got
Texas.
your boots on?
I have boots, yes.
Okay.
I haven't worn them in a long time.
Yeah.
Everyone should wear their boots tomorrow. I think that's a great idea.
that's all right. No.
There we go. See?
Well, you'd be going solo.
There we go. Oh,
Mickey
you just
hadn't
leave me
had
hanging.
a pair
That's
of
not
boots
cool,
in his
man.
life, right?
Not in my life.
Yeah.
Oh no, Mick, we got to change that.
See, I spent 4 years working in Lubbock. So
you had to wear boots?
You got to wear boots when you live in Lubbock.
Is that a job requirement?
That's right.
There you go.
Got to have Copenhagen in your back pocket, too.
Oh man.
You have to wear them boots so you can walk right out of Lubbock, right?
That's right. All right. That does it for a splendid edition of Mix Shots. Thanks to the appearance of Jess Navarez on this show today, and we'll do it again tomorrow. You want to, Jess?
I'm excited.
With phone calls.
Yep.
With phone calls.
Yes.
All
Excited
right.
to
We're
hear
going to
from
hear from
everybody.
Las Cruces, New Mexico tomorrow.
Oh, you're gonna hear from Dad Navarez and Mom Navarez calling in.
All right.
Dad
Very good.
There's
I
two.
love it. I love
so
it.
the rest of you, if you want to call in, you better start early because you're going to be in line.
All right, and we're going to talk about this big trade that the Cowboys are going to make here in a couple of hours.
In 2 hours and 13 minutes.
That's exactly right. Chat at you tomorrow on another edition of Mix Shots.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!